By May 29, the President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu will officially assume office after his swearing in. Mr. Tinubu, upon his return from his one-month trip, declared that he is prepared to hit the ground running. Upon assumption of office, that is what he said. Welcome to Standpoint. I am Ademola Lawrence. Already, the first task facing the president is the choice of cabinet members, with the lobbyists all over the place seeking his attention. There is no doubt that the quality of his cabinet and close aides will determine how far he would go in dealing with the myriad of challenges facing the country, ranging from insecurity, bad economy, unemployment, unstable inflation rate, among others. As his inauguration date draws nearer, of course, analysts identify key areas for the incoming government in the next 100 days. During the electioneering period, Tinubu Shetima Grassroots Independent Campaign Council has said that the president-elect first 100 days in office would usher in a new phase of hope that will make Nigerians dream again. Joining us to talk about this and other developments, of course, is the Deputy Speaker, Lagos State House of Assembly, Wasiu Eshilokunsani, who is joining me via Zoom. And, of course, later in the show, I will also be having the Accord Party presidential candidate, Professor Chris Imomolen. But first, let me start with the Deputy Speaker, Wasiu Eshilokunsani. Deputy Speaker, thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so first of all, a huge task for the president-elect as his inauguration draws closer, of course, on May 29. But one of the things that many Nigerians are talking about is how he's going to unite the country because of the fallout of the elections and some of the things that, of course, happened in the course of this time during the electionary period. How do you think that the president-elect, kicking up his administration on May 29 to get that started?
Thank you very much. I think that the best way we will have an inkling to his intention by his speech on the May 29th, whereby we set up whatever he intends doing. He speaks to Nigerians, and I guess healing the wounds of the election will be one of it, and then unifying the Nigerians will also be a very key factor in what he will set out to do. Being somebody who has done that before and who is experienced, and then I guess that those are the things, and basically it will set out to tackle some of the set Nigeria in a development path so that Nigeria will forever be great. We are doing great right now. We can still do better, and I guess that is the essence of his governance.
Yeah, there are myriad of issues, of course, Nigerians are facing. From, of course, you look at the unemployment rate, you look at the poverty index, and Nigeria is next to India and the poverty capital of the world. And that simply speaks a lot. So the president-elect has a lot to do in terms of economy and, of course, lifting out the people, because those are some of the promises that he campaigned on during his 80-page manifesto during the campaign period. Do you think that, these things are realistic, looking at the time frame that he would have for 4 years? Don't forget, the last administration of us that will be running up in the next couple of weeks had already, of course, promised Nigerians a lot of things. Now he's riding on that same platform to say a lot of promise still rolling out, and Nigerians are saying, can this promise be fulfilled? And what are the indices that this promise can be fulfilled?
First and foremost, I guess we'll have to tackle, and I'm sure he will tackle, the security challenges, both internally and externally, especially the internal security issues, like the banditry, the Boko Haram / ISWAP, kidnapping, and all what have you. We must, because no development can take place in an environment full of insecurity, and like the Constitution do provide, security of lives and property is the primary responsibility of government, and I'm sure that it will set out to do that. Aside from that, it will also set out to look at key developmental issues. I'm sure that it will look at the electricity, because it's sine qua non to industrialization. And I think that smarting from that is the fact that when that is done, we are so sure that so many small businesses and big businesses will be able to come on board. When they come on board, especially poverty, unemployment will be tackled and will be looked into. But those are the very sure foundation that he must set, so that Nigeria can be set on the developmental path. Beside that also, there are certain issues that have with strikes, either in the schools, worker strikes, and then protest. In a democracy, protest strikes are allowed, but then other ways and be key. And also, most importantly, it must also take a look and give time to how the relationship between the executive and the legislature, between the executive and the judiciary. For the judiciary is how they must be independent, and the finances, as is now being put in the Constitution, must also be respected, so that there will be dispensation of justice in the country, and the judiciary should be truly free. For the legislature, there must be an harmonious working relationship between the executive and the legislature, and whatever will assist that, the government of our incoming president must be ready to do. I'm sure that he has been the governor of Lagos State. He knows how to handle all of this. But continual reminder is key.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so I also want to ask this. One of the issues, of course, that Nigerians are also looking at is the issue of cabinet, which is very paramount, like how the president-elect is going to be choosing his cabinet. The issue of cabinet, how the president is going to be choosing his cabinet. Can I just answer? So how the president is going to be choosing his cabinet, the age range, looking at the
reason.
Can you hear me, sir?
Amendment to the Constitution, I think that he has like 2 months to minister, one per state. Also, there is this constitutional provision of 14.4 that talks about inclusivity. Yeah, thank you. That one minister per state. The 14.4 of the Constitution also talks about him taking into consideration all other factors that every shades of opinion must be considered, and every sectors must be considered in choosing this cabinet. I'm also sure that he will look at the issue of women in government. We also look at the issue of youth for them to be included in the government of the federation in the cabinet. So the the issue is set out in the Constitution, and I'm sure that he will respect that amended as recommended by the Constitution.
Do you think that this is going to do a magic in the appointment will do a magic in uniting Nigerians, because so many people have been talking about how this appointment is going to come?
Yeah, I'm sure it will unite Nigerians, because there is no state of the federation that will not be considered, and I'm sure that other opinions or others who do not probably share political alignment might also be considered if they have something to offer and if they are prepared to be on board. I'm sure that President Tinubu will be magnanimous in victory and will be able to unite the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.
Talking about uniting the country, you look at the arrays of issues that came up during the election. Of course, you talk about the ethnicity, you talk about the religion part. It's still somehow fresh in people's mind. How do you think that the president-elect can tackle this head on? Because some have said these are things that were hidden before, but this election brought them out. And of course, but if you look at what is happening in, for example, in the Southeast, so many persons have said the infrastructural, decay in that part of the country still needs to be attended to. But of course, the president, Buhari, has done, some have said, probably he has done his best in putting the second Niger bridge into place. But how do you think that infrastructure like this can help speak to the people of Southeast, to come into fray of the president-elect as he assumed office?
I think that there was and there is still a lot of infrastructural development in the Southeast during this outgoing administration. What they've done in the Southeast, they've done what the 16 years of PDP was not able to do. They've done a lot in terms of development. However, Southeast, so to speak, is an integral part of the country. I'm so sure that they won't be left out in the development of the country. I'm sure that the president-elect will give them a very high visibility and a very high consideration in infrastructural development. I'm so sure, because he's a pan-Nigerian, he's a man who is at ease with development, and is a man that loves all parts of the country. And I'm sure that they will be given that pride of place in the development of the nation. Thank you.
Yeah, talking about the Southeast, let's look at the viability of that particular part of the country. I look at how economic viable they can be. It looks as if Nigeria has not really tapped into that part of the country, and they need to. Do you think that, looking at the president-elect administration, coming into the administration, would that also be something that it needs to focus on?
I guess that the president will focus on the ability of each region, and I'm sure that the people of Southeast are very industrious, they are very, very innovative, and for whatever, they are very good in industrial revolution. I'm sure that the president-elect will give this, and that is why power is critical, and that he must first tackle the power issue, and looking at the various, either the one that will be generated through the national grid, solar, and what have you. We will look at it because they need power, but also, above all, they also need peace and security. In some parts of the Southeast, development is not encouraging because of the banditry, the what have you, sit at home on Monday, cut down on the ability of that part of the country to contribute to the GDP and GNP of Nigeria. And I'm so sure because look at what they're doing in Nigeria. I think that peace, electricity, and I'm sure that they will have their pride of place. I'm sure all the states in the Southeast, as usual, will have their men as ministers, ambassadors, head of MDs in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And I'm sure that they should also be ready, receptive to receiving the developmental project. I'm sure that they will be treated as other parts of the country. I'm so sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I also want us to look at, when you talk about some of the security issues that they have in Southeast. You remember the letter that the Anambra governor, Soludo, wrote to the president-elect, and he said that one of the things that will make the Southeast happy is the fact that if Nnamdi Kanu can be released, do you think that that can also persuade the people of Southeast to come into the fray of having a sense of belonging? Because there seems to be like a lacuna in that part of the country where they need to come to the party. Do you think that can also persuade them to do that?
I think everything will be on board. I think the president-elect will have everything under consideration. I will do what he thinks is the best for the country. And then for all parts of the nation, either southeast, southwest, south, or northeast, north central, to be happy and be part of the national development. And we are no region will be sidelined, will be the primary importance to the president-elect. If the release of Kanu, if it is possible, I'm sure that the president-elect will work with his attorney general and other members of his cabinet to look at it. But most importantly, the region, especially where you have a lot of issues, they must be ready for developmental projects. They must also be ready. There should be peace. Without peace, there cannot be development. Where you put contractors to work and they will be threatened, cannot be so allowed. But I'm sure that they are peace-loving people. They are very, very industrious. You can attest to their sense of duty. And then I'm so sure. I'm so sure they only need certain things to get them on the right track. And I'm sure that over the years, they will find out that when PDP was in government, they were part of it and they've contributed a lot. And they were also in very, very important places. But sometimes you need to not put your eggs in all one basket because you never know. And I'm sure that Buhari, as it were, like you said, second Niger bridge that has taken forever is on board. It's not only second Niger bridge, there are other ancillary roads that were joined to the second Niger bridge. They are being done. There are so many other roads constructed by the federal government. All you need to do is to look at the federal ministries of works and websites and ask how many roads were done in the southeast. I think that, but for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu presidency, I'm sure, I know him correctly, he will not leave any part of the country to suffer. I'm so sure. I'm not even saying it like this. I say that Nigeria will be one, and then every part of the country will be developed. Southeast cannot be and will not be excluded.
Still talking about security. Of course, the major thing for any serious government is the protection of lives and property of that particular country. And the security level in Nigeria, some will say is nothing to write home about. And looking at all of these things, which is of course a major factor if any administration, of course, is going to prosper. What are the things that you need to be put in place for us to have you know, to a reasonable extent, security need to be put in place. How do you think that we need to start putting those things in place? And of course, the president-elect, how those things will form part of his administration's goals?
Like I said, and as provided by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the security of lives and properties is the primary responsibility of government. And in my opening remarks, I did mention that internal and external security is very, very key. We must be protected from external aggressors, from our neighbors. We must have good relationship with our neighbors, be it Republic of Benin, Niger, Cameroon, and what have you, so that they will not be at war with us or allow enemies to come through their border to affect us. We do not have any issue with them as we speak. However, it's a thing that we must continually look at. We must look at how we can handle belligerence, how we can handle armed conflict if the need arises. You prepare, even in time of peace, you prepare for war, so that for you to be able to defend your country. And then coming internally, and that is when I refer to banditry, kidnapping, ISWAP, Boko Haram, and all of you. And that the security architecture of the country must be re-evaluated with a view to providing adequate securities for men and property in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And I believe seriously. And also, that even protest is allowed in democracy. However, the way to address and prevent people from getting injured or during protests must also be looked at, because that speaks to it that Nigeria is a free nation. And also, I guess that when the government is doing what is right, they will fear nothing, and we can be able to tackle our internal issues adequately and efficiently. Thank you.
So welcome back to Standpoint, and I'll be speaking to the Deputy Speaker, Lagos Assembly. I'll be looking at some of the things that the president-elect, when he's been inaugurated into office on May 29th, the things that he needs to consider that would, of course, be unstable to look at. And one of those things that, of course, we're talking about is the issue of strikes, where some Nigerians have said that this particular administration do not like to see them on the streets when they don't see any policy do not favor them. So they're also looking at the fact that, is the president-elect going to also follow suit in one of the things the President Muhammad Buhari has been able to do, some allegedly has been able to do, let me put it that way. Of course, you're talking about the strike of the fuel subsidy, talking about the new Naira design, of course, that also caused an uproar in the course of the year. So my question to you is, would the president-elect, when he becomes the president, be able to accommodate all of these things? Because these are things that a lot of people are also complaining about. Knowing that there's an antecedent, they know the kind of person that the president Asiwaju Bola Ahmed is when he was a senator in 1993 and was fighting the military junta. He was given the free hand. Some said, although, yeah, he was on the street, but it was during the military junta. But would he be able to let Nigerians just go on the streets and do the things that they feel that is not, it doesn't favor them?
I guess it's tolerant. It's tolerant and it's accommodating. I guess strikes will be allowed because that is one of the features of protests, when you think some policies are not favorable. However, I think it will be more focused where it has not been happening frequently during during even Buhari's regime. It came up just few months to the general elections, and I'm sure that with Dangote that will come on board later this year, I guess that the issue of fuel subsidy and I'm sure the fuel shortages will be looked at. In terms of fuel subsidy, I think World Bank and the federal government are already working on that, and I'm sure that there are palliatives on board, and I think that the incoming administration will take it from wherever the Buhari administration will leave it, so to speak. And I'm sure that is a kind-hearted person, is a man with a lot of empathy. I'm sure that he will not allow his people to suffer unduly. I guess the impact or whatever will be looked at seriously if the program. So I guess that for trying to ourselves and then think that we should strike, even all over the world as we speak. Almost all professions or professionals have taken to striking, and you know what you've seen strikes in US, seen strikes in Germany, whatever, and then in UK it's all by sectoral basis. Doctors have gone on strike. All these are that have gone on strikes, but they were specific. We are going on strike for 3 days. 4 days will not come. After that 3 days, they call up the strike and resume as it were. And I happen to have people that all what that is happening there may not happen like that in Nigeria. For those 3 days that they were not working, their salaries were deducted for those 3 days. For those who were on strike, I'm sure that they know that whatever they've gone on strike for, if it comes to fruition, they will also benefit. But what is just letting it strike like that happen? University should not be encouraged, should not be allowed. The government should be proactive with a view to ameliorating and tackling the issues that may have arisen. Infrastructure in the university, it cannot be allowed to fester on for like 6 months. That is too much. And I'm sure that another angle we are not looking at is when there is a strike and there are demands, it involves financial implications. And I'm sure that is the way, that is where the National Assembly should come in, because the executive may not be able to spend what is not budgeted for. They should be able to come in, be the mediator, see what those ones are demanding, what is the executive try be able to give. They reach a consensus. The National Assembly should be able to appropriate adequate finances to tackle that. And they should not leave it to the next years or feel unconcerned or unconcerned with the issues. They should be concerned, because when it's of financial application, what is not budgeted for cannot be spent. They must come in and do what is necessary. What is necessary, and also Nigerians should also use that avenue. Whenever there is strike, they are left out. They should they should also be made to contribute, and then not as part of the problems, but part of the solution. They should be able to appropriate adequately and answer to when that finance is needed. Thank you.
All right. Now let's talk a bit about party politics. Of course, one of the things that is happening is the fact that would the president-elect be able to enforce the party supremacy? You remember so many things happened during the course of President Muhammadu Buhari. You remember the likes of Oshiomhole, of course, and the case of Buni and all of those things. Would that not rear its head again during his own administration?
I'm sure that party politics, party is supreme in any democratic dispensation and endeavor. The party gives out the directives, and then those in the executive or legislature are those who are going to implement it. I'm sure that, like now, currently the leadership of National Assembly, you will see the party playing a very prominent role. I'm sure that with their experience, the chairman of our party is a former member of the National Assembly, and the president and the vice president, they are also former and current members of the National Assembly. I'm sure that they will know how to tackle all of this, and I'm sure that they will not give it to chance. It must be done correctly, and everybody must be happy. Thank you.
Okay, still talking about party politics. APC, of course, would be the 10th National Assembly leadership will be on the table of APC. So there's the part of the Senate presidency and, of course, the House of Rep. That's an edict that needs to be solved, and that's a puzzle that needs to be solved by the ruling party. How do you think that this is going to pan out, looking at the fact that this form a major thing in this upcoming administration?
What is happening now is democratic. People have a right to aspire. However, all I know is that before the governorship election, all elected members of National Assembly, the National Assembly were called to Abuja by the party, and we were spoken to, and we were told to go and concentrate on the gubernatorial elections, which we did, and they told us that thereafter the party will do the zoning and will be informed adequately. And I'm sure when they do the zoning, they will be informed. And those who are aspiring from that zone will be those who are going to be considered. But all shades of opinion should be distilled. Now everybody have the right until and when the party comes out with a position and the speaker goes to so and so the political zone. The deputy speaker goes to this and that and the political zone. The Senate president should go to this and that zone, and also the deputy Senate president. All the offices, majority leader and all who now be settled. I'm sure that when they come up with the zoning, and from the meeting that we had, we also are waiting for the party to show the direction, and then we will see. And I'm sure when they do that, they should call all of us and then tell us their decisions. And I'm sure that it will not be taken in isolation without considering all relevant stakeholders in the national polity.
Okay,
there is no room for we shouldn't allow something that happened during the Saraki era. It is not good for the party. It weakens the hold of the ruling party in governance, and it may slow down development. And slow down development now, while the legislation must be independent of the executive, also there must be a harmonious working relationship between the two, so that development, there will be rapid development, one will not be slowing down the other. I'm sure that even the president-elect knows all of this, and I'm sure that will be our target. An harmonious working relationship, however, whatever we need to look at, we will look at it dispassionately with a view to giving Nigerians the best.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you this last question in just 30 seconds. You're going to help me answer the question. Looking at the role of opposition, do you think that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu will extend a hand of friendship if he's going to look for expatriates, for example, if he finds somebody who is capable to do the work?
I'm sure that all options will be on board. Asiwaju will look at all those people that may help the administration to excel, whether it be in the opposition, whether it be non-partisan technocrats. You also like to use them. Technocrats who may not be partisan, but yet they have something to offer. You also like to use that. And then I'm sure that all options will be on the table. Whoever will assist in giving Nigeria and Nigerians the best will be considered and should be brought on board. Is such a man, magnanimous in victory, full of empathy, wanting to excel and wanting the best for his country.
All right, thank you very much. Of course, that's the Deputy Speaker. Of course, now a Senator-elect of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Wasiu Eshilokunsani. Thank you very much for joining us on the show to enumerate some of the things that, of course, Nigerians are expecting for the incoming administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Nigerians. Thank you.
That's our show for today. Join us next week as we bring you another interesting one. But there's going to be a repeat by 11 p.m. this night and 5 a.m. on Monday. Thank you very much, and bye for now.